Howdy gang, this is the final installment of this series of videos. I am very sorry that they haven't been as frequent as I would have liked for them to be. Difficulties with playing and everything kind of meant that a lot of the progress got lost in translation, just because I didn't really sit down and play this account for more than 100 hours at a time. Um, so yeah, this is going to be like the final video of it, and I've got a few things that I want to do and talk about and everything. So I kind of want to treat this as a progress video as well as like a wrap-up video. So yeah, um, in the last video, I said I wanted to be done for this date in particular. And the remaining skills were mining, farming, crafting, cooking, fire making, prayer, and construction. I was training mining at the time, and it was going really well, and I really enjoyed it. It was really, really, really good fun. Um, you didn't really have to do a lot to get good rates, like relatively good rates. So I was quite happy with that really in the end. And then finished mining, finished farming and crafting, cooking, all within like the same weekend. I didn't have much left to do with those skills, so they're pretty inconsequential. Um, the one thing I will say is that it was quite nice to make a bit of money from crafting because um, like every penny helped along the way. As I learned, as this account sort of got closer and closer to max. Um, so after I finished those, I went straight into fire making. I started at 70, and I just burnt some U logs to 75 and some magic logs to 99, and I did that in Varrock with Varrock tablets and everything. It was a bit boring, I'm not going to lie to you. Um, I haven't really trained fire making since originally getting it in 2014. So whilst I might have thought it was going to be a refreshing game experience, it really wasn't. It was really quite boring. Um, but I got that done in about 5 days, I think, which is the main thing. And I went into prayer, and I posted a little video on my um, Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days of me the way that you train it on this game, where you are like using auto hotkeys to use every bone individually, and your cursor is traveling fucking miles and miles and miles in between the fucking altar um and the bones, and that was really really difficult for me. I had to take like a day off, and I was on like a tight schedule, and I had to take a day off to just rest my hands because I'm not 16 anymore. I'm an old fogey. I really struggled with prayer. I really struggled with prayer. Um, During the original playthrough of the game, prayer was my third 99. I think I got it in 2013, after getting 91 rune crafting. So yeah, that was really difficult. And then I finished, quote unquote, finished prayer. I've saved prayer for last because I can do it the way that I'm doing it here. Um, I went into construction, and initially construction was a pain in the ass because it's just construction is very much you versus the game. You are racing the butler, and as long as you can get the two doors in before the butler comes back, you're fine. But it was that initial like frustration of not knowing the pattern, or being able to execute the pattern correctly, um, that sort of made it a bit difficult to do. And again, with the whole um, like auto hotkey thing, it's like there's no like shift click remove or whatever the fuck is in the game now. I don't know what it is, but I think it's a rune light thing actually. So you just like drop down, click, remove, yes, drop down, click. No numbers or anything to navigate the chat boxes. Um, it was really really difficult, but once I got into it, it was all right. Uh, I remember the EHP rate that I set for this was 400k, and I don't think I got over 390 the entire time I was doing it. But um, I really did grit my teeth with it, and I got it done, and I was really pleased with how well I did. I think there's like a 13 mil construction, 13 mil, like a 13-hour construction day in there somewhere that was a really good push in the right direction. I didn't sleep too good, and I just woke up at 5 a.m. and trained construction for a bit, like the old times. But yeah, I got that done and managed to scrape by on the money side of things, which I was really grateful for. Um, I had about 20. So I had prayer was banked and construction was banked, and I had about 20 million sharks that I had to cook and then sell, and then I had um 5 years of Kingdom and Miscellanea that I sold as well, which wasn't a drop in the ocean. It was quite significant. It was about 30 mil. So yeah, that all worked out all right because that was a big worry. And I do have some post 99 in RC back when they were expensive. And looking back in retrospect, I managed to do I did 99 rune crafting at a really good time for Nats because it was just as the coronavirus pandemic like kicked off, and Nats that were normally about 230 were, I think like 280. You can see this on the graph on the wiki if you're interested, but you know the, uh, it worked out. I spent all of my money, but it worked out. So yeah. Anyway, there we go. So this is max for this account. Basically, I'm leaving the hunter at 1 to pay homage to my very dear friend, as you all well know, the namesake of this account. Um, but yeah, this has been fantastic. Again, it's taken far too long to finish. If I'd gone back and told myself it was going to take me nearly 5 years to finish this, I wouldn't have believed myself. But yeah, here we are. But it's done, it's finished, and I'm happy. And it's really weird because I originally maxed in 2014. I was number 33 to max, I'm pretty sure, which is no great feat, but yeah, you kind of take for granted the stats because there are definitely some skills in this arrangement that I remember why I haven't trained them for a while. Eyes on prayer, eyes on construction. Mainly those two. Those two were just really difficult for me, and I left them right till the end, which was a pain in the ass. But yeah, we're here now, and we're maxed, and I just want to go through a few more, like just closing thoughts. But before we get into that, we are celebrating, so we'll crack open a beveragini, as I did in my RS3 5.4 video, and go through a few things then. So, what was the point of this account? The point of this account for me was to offer a sort of insight into a definite lost era of the game. There's only like a few. There were only 3 people that finished um, early on. It was Jebrim, followed by User, followed by Vestfold, and Jebrim and Vestfold both have their progress videos from 11 years ago available on the YouTube, and I'd really recommend checking them out if you want some of that old school feel back in your life, and this isn't satisfying your need for it because they're just fantastic. They're just so gritty and raw, and just the game was just like a shit show back then. It was a bunch of this outdated mechanics and stupid, restrictions and things like that, and it is so perfect. It's so imperfectly perfect. It's a real treasure to experience the game as it was intended to be experienced. This is the game that everyone voted for, you know. So you know, that's just me being a bit of a nerd and spurging out about, you know, romanticized eras of the game and all that. But yeah, but mainly for me, this is an era of the game that I didn't really experience. I sort of shot off in 2014. That was my year. And whilst the games didn't change all that much, there wasn't that like that need for certain things like the Slayer had changed by then, and Motherlode Mine was on the horizon, and Rooftop Agility was out, and I definitely did have my hand held throughout a lot of my maxing in that respect. In like retrospect now that I have you know done it this way. Um, so and I think the most important thing that this account did for me was provide a way for me to play the game in my own little bubble and provide some sort of escapism from whatever the fuck the game is today, because it's changed so much since when I was playing. I barely even recognize it, man. It's quite tragic. I've said in previous videos, I'm not out here trying to hate or blaspheme. I'm just a guy that, has a real love for the original way the game was intended to be played, and let me tell you, they have strayed very far away from that. So it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, it was purely just to give myself something to do. Um, I didn't intend to, really benefit from it any other way than to just be like, hey guys, I'm doing this. This is how I'm doing this, and I am enjoying doing this. But I must admit, seeing some of the reactions of people when they're like, why are you doing it that way? And it's like, don't worry about it. The amount of times when you're doing Slayer and you're there and you're full proselyte and you've ruined Defender and people are just like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's just like, don't worry about me. I'm having a good time. What the fuck are you doing? Um, so that kind of leads on to something else I wanted to talk about is the authenticity of everything. Again, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. I wouldn't cheat myself out of the experience. There are a few things that I've used that people who follow me on social medias or whatever, they'll know that I've used. The massive one is the Grand Exchange. I couldn't think of a way to get around the Grand Exchange. I didn't want to do an Iron Man because that would mean that the metas wouldn't strictly be um, faithful to what was available. So it was the Grand Exchange. I thought about logging into my main account and buying the things on that and then trading it with the account and everything to get that authentic experience, but there's just really no point. It was adding an extra step for not a lot. So the Grand Exchange was a big one. Randoms, regrettably, I probably stopped doing randoms around the time I started doing Slayer, because originally when I was doing Slayer, they were quite hard to interact with. Um, so, naturally, um, I kind of had to like leave them, and then I had a few bank standing skills where I didn't even encounter them. Um, and then I came back and I got one, and I just sort of stopped doing them, which is far from ideal, but you know, I did them for a period, and then I had a big period where I stopped doing them, and then I just never resumed doing them really. Which, yeah, it's not ideal, but I mean, I'm coming clean about it. I'm not lying to anybody about that. The randoms dropped off at around the 70% mark of the account, the 70% completion mark. And that stemmed from Slayer, and a few more things stem from Slayer. And as I've already mentioned these in other videos as well, is the glorious world hopper, which, you know, I use this thing. This thing's just incredible. Logging out, punching in your information. Not about that. Hot worlds. Someone's at Abby Specs world. Hot worlds. And I used some Slayer points, which I had just accrued naturally from doing tasks. Because for those who don't know, you don't get points unless you've done like a certain amount of tasks in a row. And I, obviously just accumulated them as I'd done Slayer naturally and got unlucky with tasks that I didn't have to skip, and I used the blocks to block the three highest weighted tasks that weren't available, which was spirit warriors, well, spiritual creatures, kraken, and maybe worms or something. And there were a few more tasks that um, I was still getting that weren't available to me. So it was a bit of a shit trick where you had to like skip tasks that you wouldn't have even been assigned, but you just had to get on with it, I guess. So I was getting things like hydras and smoke devils and things like that, which I obviously shouldn't have been getting when I was playing back in the day. And some of the drops, updated loot tables from gargoyles and necreals, particularly, I definitely benefited from those. If it was, intentional. Um, which again, it was just a money issue. And I tried to justify it with being like, oh, well, rune boots weren't 7k back then, so it kind of breaks even and all that. But at the end of the day, the bottom line was I didn't want to have to do any more rune crafting, so I just used Slayer, and in return, I got a good, or in exchange, I got a good return on 99 Slayer. So yeah, I don't feel particularly remorseful about any of those things. I think they're perfectly reasonable, but I can understand how it is somewhat tainted the authenticity of the account. And like, whilst I'm mentioning this, there was plenty of other things that were that were completely unavoidable that I'd benefited from. Changes to the Slayer waiting task systems and static spawns and backwalking and just the construction butler being uh, behaving like a coherent human being. Like, that thing used to just walk off when it give you its planks. You'd have to run and get him again and everything. It was stupid. So I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff, but those are the big ones. And it's needless to say that I'm grateful that I didn't have a say on whether or not I wanted to benefit from them because, yeah. So I think now what I want to do is show you guys this. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that this is the main sort of learning resource that I used. So these rates were all basically pulled out of my arse in order to determine, the XP rates and the EHP. So this is my ending EHP here. I have some post 99. That agility is from fishing and some other combat and some extra rune crafting, but this is the EHP to max. This is not including Hunter, obviously, which is another 120 hours or something. So it was like 2.5k hours. Um, but this is the ending EHP to max, not like 700 or whatever it is these days. And then there's just, yeah, rates and methods. So half of your Slayer, well, Slayer covers all of combat and then some because Slayer's so slow. Hit points is hit points. Got about half of range from chinning. Prayer was just dragon bones on a gilded altar. Magic was superheating gold ore, which trained magic and smithing simultaneously. Cooking was sharks. Magic was just AFKing teaks, like 5-tick teaks. Fletching is just stringing magic longbows. Fishing, 5-tick barbarian fish. No tick manipulation on this account at all. Fire making was just burning magic logs. Crafting was green d'hide body, but I think air battle staffs is an appropriate exchange, if you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, I just did green d'hide bodies because that's what I did first time around. Smithing I covered. Mining was iron ore to 80 and then 2s2g to 99. And Herbal was super energy because it was a relatively cheap potion. Agility was my second 99, and that was just the Apatol course with no super energies or anything because I didn't really understand what I wanted to do with the account just yet. I was just dicking around and didn't have any like set restrictions in mind. Thieving was Pyramid Plunder, and again, that was my first 99. I didn't particularly know what I wanted to do there, but um, didn't use any like energies or anything. I think I bought like some anti-poisons or something, and that was it. Slayer was through Duradel and skipping all the bad tasks with the level 1 master. Farming was 1 tree run a day, and there was 5 tree spots and 4 fruit trees and a calquat every day. Letya wasn't available until 2014 when they re-released it. So instead of doing the original 5-5 like it was 5-4, and that was done with palms and yews mainly because I just couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford doing magics. Runecrafting, I did cosmics to 44, single nats to 54, laws to 82, double astrals to 91, and then 91 to 99 was all double nats. And then Oak Dungeon doors for construction, and it was not 400k an hour. I'll tell you that for nothing. It was not fucking 400k an hour. Um, I was really, really bad at that, but it's my last 99, so I didn't really care. I just wanted to get it done. Most of this information was from me, just my experience of the game and everything. Old fogey. I've been around. These were the EHP rates when I was like first playing the game. But as I mentioned, Jebrim and Vestfold's videos are still available from 11 years ago. So, they are absolutely fantastic. If you ever want to check them out, I'd really recommend them. And my dear friend Gingbino, the namesake of the account, gave me a bunch of screenshots about 5 years ago, and sifting through them really helped um, deduce a lot of early methods and sort of problems, if you know what I mean, just the natural progression of things and things like that. So this sheet also has semi-accurate EHP rates for both 99 on this tab. Here's the 99s, Hunter, lol, and this, which is a very, very rough 200 mil all 2013. Look at that, 32k hours. That's 10 hours a day for 10 hours a day for 10 years. Anybody want to do that? Not me. Um, it has a Slayer. These are the Slayer tasks that I used to do. So I did Abyssal Demons, Necrils, Gargoyles, Black Demons, Bloodfells, Calphites, Dagonoths, Suklas, Fire Giants, Dust Devils, Abbey Specs, and Greater Demons. And there's just like a few like little. I just jot this down basically, and it's like, where do you kill them? What's the XP? Are they any good? So like Abyssal Demons are fantastic, and then Dust Devils are the worst. And Calphites in the Calphite Hive, they spawn so slow. Like they're like just barely worth it, surely. And something which I alluded to in a previous video is my Slayer log. So this starts at level 80 and goes all the way to 99, and it's every task and every skip and every significant drop that I got along the way, and each one of these lines indicates the end of the day. So you see these ones where it's like a line here after 2 tasks or whatever. That was just a bad day of slaying. So this is cool. This was very fun to make. I dare say this is probably the only thing that kept me sane during Slayer because it was so long and tedious. But it was, yeah, it was a good thing to jot down. And then lastly, there is just this sheet which is just a list of my achievements. So I have my 99s and that I achieved them on, and then a few significant achievements like 126 combat, which I just got like a few days ago. 85 Slayer I got 4 years ago. 91 RC I got 4 years ago, and then obviously Max, which is today. So that's the sheet. I'm going to link this sheet in the description of the video if you want to have a little mooch around or potentially recreate the account. If you go onto this page here, this is where it gets your stats, and what you just want to do is replace this one here, Gingbino, with whatever else. I'm not fancy on Google Sheets. I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing, but it works. It works. Um, so yeah, that's that. That's the sheet, and back to this guy here. And what what happens now? Like, what do I do from here? I'll let you listen to my dogs bark for a bit. So, the future of this account, I really do not know. If it was up to me, I'd buy a Steam Battle Staff, big bunch of Astral Runes, and I would just run around the roofs until I got bored again. I reckon I'd probably get to about 60 mil before I got bored of it. But that was the initial thought. Um, I had extremely invasive thoughts of following my original account's progression. So again, I would go and do RD to like 150 and then start fishing, but I haven't got another, you know, whatever 10,000 hours or something to put into recreating an account. That is just that's mental illness levels right there. Um, but all of this really depends on whether or not I want to keep the account locked to the era. I mean, I have something unique here, but at the same time, I am not doing 7.8k hours of 2013 Slayer for a goal I might achieve in realistically 2045 if I'm still alive. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're in a interstice here of just like I don't know what to do. Um, so if you've got any ideas, I don't really know. um, I'd kind of just like to keep it as it is. It's very pristine as it is. It's pure. It's untainted. It's unique. It's a very special account to me. I love this account to death. I really do. Like we have been through the wars together. Um, so I really am quite apprehensive to taint it with anything external, really. So yeah, and all of this is all well and good saying it, but I don't have the time or the mental fortitude or the physical endurance to do this shit anymore. Like I'm past it. I'm past being turbo efficient fucking super nerd. I can't commit 80 hours a week like I used to play the game, and my hands can't hack it, and the ripples of 30k hours of RuneScape 3 are definitely being felt in the form of early stage RSI because I just can't do this shit anymore, man. Like I really struggled with the end of this account, and yeah. So just to finish everything off here now, video's a bit long, like 30 minutes at this point, and I'm sorry for taking up a lot of your evening or whatever, rambling on about RuneScape. But closing thoughts, this account was absolutely fantastic. I really loved it. I still love it. It's a really enjoyable experience to max this account build, but I don't think it's particularly realistic to do anymore with the money issues. And that's are like 80 each or something. And 99 rune crafting was the fucking backbone of accounts following the metas that I've followed. You could maybe get like 40 mil hunter off red chins and scrape by, but I think I did it in a really nice window, and I did rune crafting early. It was like my third 99 or something, and I managed to reap the rewards that still existed at the time. But now I'm not sure if it's particularly realistic for people to, if they want to copy me, if they want to make their money from rune crafting. I don't think it's realistic for them, and that was such a huge loss of motivation for me. 2023 was a write-off for me anyway. I didn't play the game at all, this account at all. But even then, finishing Slayer in 2022, I had like 8 months, and it's just like the money was just such an issue, um, which was just crap. And Slayer was was really tough. I think Slayer took me 16 months to do on and off, obviously. But yeah, that was really hard work. But it's been really good fun, and it's left me with a bittersweet longing for the game. Um, yeah, it was a really really nice experience. Um, I miss the camaraderie of everything. I miss being in a clan and being on TS and talking shit with people that, obviously had the same goals as me at the time, but also just existing in this bubble of isolation, just doing my own thing and, remaining faithful to the things that I believe in was invaluable. It was a really, really nice experience. And that's not to say that the relationships that I made when I originally started playing the game aren't important to me, because again, they're invaluable as well. And I just wanted to say that, and I'm extremely grateful for the core parts of the game that haven't changed. So the biggest thing for me is this interface. This fixed interface is still available, and you can have it without the orbs. Like, that is huge. And I think the only changes really are this account management tab, which I really wish that you could toggle between the two. I really wish you could. Um, and the additional channel option here and filtering game chat and things like that. It's very, this fixed interface is sacred to me. Sorry, I'm in the realm of autistic obsession here, but yeah, I'm extremely grateful that you can still play the way that the game was intended to play for the most part, um, and the graphics remaining mostly untouched. You know, this is it's just such a pure, raw, unique aesthetic. It's really, really, really important to me. Like, yeah, just happy. The fact you can play the game mostly how it was played back in the day, if you want to, is really good. But outside of that, the game's just some sort of disgrace now. Like, I, I I haven't had anything to do with the community or the content or anything for at least 7 years, probably, when I finished in 2018. That's 7 years. That's 6 years. Yeah. And yeah, it's just not for me. It doesn't appeal to me at all. It doesn't feel particularly RuneScapey, um, and it just feels to me like it's gonna reach a breaking point, and there'll be people like me that'll have an awakening and start feeling a bit nostalgic towards how the game was originally released. But I've been banging that drum for many years now, and nothing's really happened. But regardless of all of that, I will always love the game. I will always love the way that I have chose to play the game, and I'd like to think that playing the game and this account the way that I've played it could offer some sort of closure to me, um, that I've been craving. But I'm not sure. I might still pick up that Steam Battle Staff and start running around Ardy. Who knows? But yeah, that's about it really. Um, just a few more like closing words. Thanks to everyone who either watched or commented on videos, interacted with me on Twitter or whatever when I was playing this account. It's always cool to say hey to people. I'm just a fucking loser in my bedroom, so interacting with people is always fun. If you tune into any of the streams that I did, I streamed a bit when I was early on into the account, but of course with the hiatus, it was a bit difficult to put on the old streaming cap, because I've always found that quite difficult to do. Um, Anyone that's offered me any information on methods or provided me any resources, big shout outs to them. And anyone who I met along the way, old or new, shout outs to you. You know who you are. Um, Thank you very much for everything, basically. And I'm sure this isn't the last you'll hear from me, but I think all that really remains to be said now is thank you all for watching, and well, goodbye.